Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome again to Finding Me in the ITV networks. Today I have two very interesting women with me on my program, and I'm sure that for most of the viewers who will be listening, it will be an eye-opener. With me today is Sister Zulfiya Khanova, and she is a Russian Muslim, and Sister Gadeeja Salasa, she is from Cape Town, but the two sisters met in a unique place, and I'm going to let them open up that discussion as I speak to them and they explain a little bit about the history, so just to keep you a bit intrigued. With that, I'd like to say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Okay, so Sister Zulfiya, seeing that you are the guest in our country, Gadeeja, if you don't mind, let's start with you. How did you meet Gadeeja?
I met Gadeeja in Kuwait when I was studying Islamic in that country. So we had a scholarship from Kuwait to study Islam in Kuwait. So there in that place we met it together, and we lived for many years together, and we were so close to each other, and this that these times you cannot forget it for all of your life. Yes.
And Sister Gadeeja, how did you go from Cape Town to Kuwait, and when did you?
Okay, I went in about 1993. I was studying at the Arabic Language Center. My father had taken me out of school. I was at the Habibia Primary, and then he didn't want me to go to high school, and he wanted me to learn Arabic. So he put me in the Arabic Language Center.
Is that a school in Cape Town?
It used to be. They closed it. It was Sheikh Hanif Kamar. He's also teaching at the Peace University now. Yes, and he started the school. So they used to teach us Arabic and Islamic studies. And while I was there, I was in my third year, and they said that they received scholarships. So my Sheikh Nadim Talib, he's my one of the sheikhs there. He asked me, he said, "You are the right age, would you like to go?" And obviously my first reaction was adventure. This is going to be an adventure. I love adventure. And then, but I knew my father would say no, because my father was very strict with us. He didn't want us to even go down the road to buy something from the shop.
Right.
So I said, this is impossible. Never, my father won't say yes. And then I was shocked that he was actually quite happy. Yes, he was. I think maybe it was his dream that we should go and study.
Allah opens also, I suppose. And it's for the right thing. I think parents can be very accommodating.
Yes, and my father was specialized in Ilm al-Tawheed. So he was I think the first person that I love for the sake of Allah, besides being my father.
And so was he also is he also a teacher?
Yes, he was a teacher. He studied from the late Sheikh Hendricks from the Azawiyah Mosque.
Yes.
And he was very pious and Allah knows best person, and he taught us very well, about the deen. A lot of when I went to Kuwait, and the teachers used to teach us about the deen, I used to love my father even more because I remembered. Yes, I remembered what he taught us. So,
Sister Zulfiya, okay, so your experience. Let's go a little bit back now. Okay, the adventure begins with Gadeeja in Kuwait, but before Kuwait, you were in Russia.
Yes.
Okay, and so this is now you got to Kuwait 1992, 1993, right?
1993.
1993. Okay, so that's after the collapse of the Soviet Union, the end of the Cold War.
Yes.
Russia becomes a free state.
Yes.
Right. But prior to that, what was your situation like in Russia, and what made you, or what motivated you to then go out to Kuwait?
Yeah, my life, it was like all of non-Muslims people. It was like nothing to there is nothing to contact us with any religion.
But did you know there is such a thing as religion?
Yes, as we are from there in Russia, there are too many ethnic groups, and some of these ethnic groups, they are Muslims. So I'm from ethnic groups, it's named Tatar.
From the Tatars?
Yes, Tatars. So we know that we are Muslims. Even in the communities, we know that we are Muslims, and we know that we know about the Allah, that there is a God, Allah, and we know, and we do our, for example, when we begin to eat, we will begin eating with Bismillah, and we ending our eating with Allahu Akbar. That's all that we knew about Islam.
And did you know what Bismillah means and what Allahu Akbar means? You
yes,
knew?
Yes. We know.
But that was the most that you knew about Islam?
Yes.
So there was no fasting, there was no salah, there was no prayer, no dua?
You know, the old people who knew about Islam before communism, they practice Islam, but the very secret way, in a secret way. So some of them, they knew Islam. And when Russia became free, those people, they began to spread Islam for us, because they had some background about Islam.
And they had the knowledge, I suppose.
Yes, some knowledge, but too much, but they had, because they learned it from their old fathers, and because of they practice it in a secret way, because, for example, like in the villages, so they could keep their religion.
Okay, so you said you come from the ethnic group, which is the Tatars. You knew you were Muslim. But what did Islam or Muslim mean to you in communist Russia, when the ideology or the religion per se was communism and nothing else was tolerated?
You know, in as we were Tatars ethnic groups, we were pride, you know, of our ethnic groups, and anything that it's come from this group, we like to be, and we like to practice this thing, because we are like our groups, we are like our traditions. So it was like a part of our tradition. So for me, for example, Muslims was a part of our traditions. So if I like my traditions, so I should like also yes, Islam.
Okay, wonderful. So Gadeeja, when you met Sister Zulfiya, I mean, obviously you were well grounded in Islam. She was just beginning to understand her Islamic identity. Was it difficult for you all to relate, or did you find that you were both helping each other, nurturing each other?
Actually, how can I put this? We clicked from the beginning. Zulfiya found me very mysterious. So, and because I caught her staring at me, like I don't know what was so strange about me, but you know, as in the time of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they said that people before Islam, they were people that were good already by nature, and then when they became Muslims, they were better. So Zulfiya was that kind of a person. She already had that good inclination about her, and then we then studied together, and she was dedicated and I was dedicated, and we did help each other, because we used to group together, myself, Zulfiya, some of the Senegalese girls, and I can't remember who else. We used to get together, we used to sit and try and learn Tanzania. We used to try and learn a little bit more than what we were being taught at school.
Yeah.
So, and then we have a very good relationship because it's based on Islam. Zulfiya is also like the person that I love for the sake of Allah. So we don't have issues. We don't let issues linger. If we have a problem, we will discuss it, and we respect the fact that we love each other for the sake of Allah. Why do I love her? Because she's my mirror. When she sees something that I do wrong, she tells me.
Mirror of the other.
Yes, and when I tell her, she doesn't. The difference between, for example, other friends is they get angry when you point out something, a mistake. With us, we welcomed it.
So you grew up in a true, in form of if I may say, ikhwa, but it was the sisterhood of Islam.
Exactly.
That is foreigners from totally different lands with totally different upbringings, but you get there and you unite on one purpose, isn't it?
Yes. In the beginning, the girls in the hostel, they help us to understand Islam. Even how to pray, they learned us.
Oh, they taught you?
Yes, because we came and we didn't know anything about Islam. Anything. It's nothing. We have no any knowledge about Islam. So the girls, they began us to teach.
So at the present, how many Muslims are there in Russia?
At the present time, there is 25 millions in Russia. So this is equal to Saudi Arabia population now.
Population of Saudi Arabia. Yeah, and there's always this mistaken impression that the majority of the Muslims in the world are Arab, but actually they're the minority, you know. Yeah. Because I mean, the largest Muslim populations are Indonesia and Turkey and Pakistan, and I mean, like, you know, they like hundreds of millions as compared to 25 million. I mean, like you said, just Russia alone is 25. Okay, so in Russia, I mean, people are very curious. It's always been this mysterious place, you know, the place of communism. Very beautiful woman, beautiful architecture, very rich in culture and heritage. Where do you find most of the Muslims?
In which fields?
No, which places?
Which places? There is. You mean the geography places? Oh.
Yes. In terms of location, like where will I find most of the Muslims?
Most of the Muslims, they're in the center of the Russia. It's like republics Tatarstan, Bashkortostan, and in the south. It's like Chechnya.
Central Russia.
Yes, Central Russia.
Southern Caucasus.
Yes, like Caucasus, Chechnya, Dagestan. They are Muslims. Most of the Muslims is in the center of and in the south.
But where is the greatest, like from these four places that you mentioned, where is the greatest number of Muslims?
Maybe Chechnya and Tatarstan.
Okay.
Chechnya, Caucasus and Tatarstan, maybe it's more. But Tatarstan and Bashkortostan, they are neighbors.
So they're almost like one?
Yes, they're almost like one, but in Tatarstan it's more.
Okay, we almost have to go to a break, but you are from which area now?
I'm middle. I'm mixed between Tatarstan and Bashkortostan.
So you have the best of both worlds.
Yes. So my father from Tatarstan and my mother from Bashkortostan.
Okay, and then the language when you speak?
The language, we have a language is we are studied in schools. It's a Russian language, but each ethnic groups, they have own languages. Like, for example, I know Tatar language. It's similar like Turkish language. So if the Turkish people can speak, I can understand. Not almost, but I can understand part of their speech.
Okay, we have to go to break. When we come back, Gadeeja, I'm going to start with you. We'll see you when I come back. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and welcome to the second segment of Finding Me Today in the ITV networks with our two very beautiful sisters, Sister Zulfiya, who is a Russian Muslim, and Sister Gadeeja, who is from Cape Town, and she has studied for the large part of her life in Kuwait. Now, before we went on to the break, Sister Zulfiya was explaining about the situation of the Muslims in Russia in terms of their geographical location. I'm going to pick up on the actual Islamic situation of them when I bring in the next question. But first, I just want to come to you, Sister Gadeeja. Traveling to Kuwait at a very young age, you were like 13 years old. Was it difficult to be away from your family for such a long time? And I mean, you stayed there, you progressed to high school, you did then you did your higher education there as well, and then only you came back to South Africa, isn't it?
Like I mentioned before, I like to have an adventure. I was adventurous when I was young, so I wasn't thinking about anything but going. And I think my mother was a bit nervous, and there was one night which she was a bit upset about it. But I said, no, we'll just go because it's for the sake of Allah as well. And then during my studies, I was enjoying it. I was really enjoying, studying.
Well, like, what are the subjects that you cover?
We studied all the different Islamic subjects like tafsir, hadith, aqidah, tawheed, fiqh.
And all this was done in Arabic?
Yes, all of it was in Arabic.
So first you had to learn the language?
Not exactly, because when I got to Kuwait, they did a test for us. And we were all sitting in the library. They gave us a test. And because I'd studied at the Arabic Language Center, I knew a little bit, not enough, but I knew. And then I went into the class just before high school, and it was immediately, all our subjects were already in Arabic. So we kind of learned like that, because with the teacher, speaking to us in Arabic, within 6 months we were speaking the language.
But wasn't it difficult doing like school subjects in Arabic?
No, it wasn't at all.
Wasn't?
It wasn't at all.
Because there's so many young girls who want to learn, but they feel that maybe it's going to be an obstacle. They feel, afraid to take on that challenge. That how are we going to just like maths or science or something in Arabic?
You just learn how to do it.
And work hard.
You work
hard. Yes. But I do find that because we were an Islamic institute, the maths also, it wasn't difficult. We dropped it in the third year. You only do it for the first 2 years, and then I didn't find any difficulties. It was very easy for me, alhamdulillah. I know that there were times when, because you're living in a hostel with a lot of girls, there can be khilaf sometimes, problems.
Yes.
But and then my father would feel that I'm not feeling. He would sense that I'm a bit sad. He would phone me, and then they would ask, "You want to come back?" Or my mother would ask, "You want to come back?" And I said, "No, I made a commitment to finish, and I would like to see it through."
So altogether, how many years did you spend in Kuwait?
I think about 10, 11 years.
Wow, that's a long time. Were you also there so long?
22.
22. That's like a lifetime for some people.
And I'm still studying there.
Alhamdulillah. But okay, so when you got there, now you've come out of this society, this whole life of yours probably, where you only 3 things or 4 things about Islam and of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you enter this religious institute and you're faced with Quran and tafsir and hadith. What was it like for you?
From my young age, I was every time thinking about the death, about where we will go when we die.
From a young age?
Yes, from a young age. When I was maybe 10, 11 years, I was thinking about that. And as you know, that the natural of the Russia is very beautiful. And I was looking at the window and asking myself, what will happen after we die?
Yes.
Is it will not see it again? And I was also asking. And when I came to Kuwait, and I knew about there is a Jannah and Jahannam, there I was, I was very comfortable. Now I knew the answer for my questions.
There was a purpose to this life.
And that I get the answers, I feel that I should learn more, and it's all the knowledge. It was very interesting for me because.
Okay, now I have to ask you a very personal question. And what did you feel when you began to start understanding who Allah is?
Of course, it's very, very comfortable for myself, and I became not afraid from the die. So I knew that there is another life, and I became more power. Yes, more empowered, because I became not afraid from the people. I know that there is a God whom we should afraid more than the people. So it's helped me in my life. The religion helps me in my life to connect with the people, to live, to for example, if there are any problems, I can remove them by the feelings.
Through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And for you, Gadeeja, I mean, you were very young, spent a good part of your youth in that environment, learning the deen, of course, engaging in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's kalam. What was your experience like as you grew into maturity together with this particular curricula and your understanding of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
I feel like when during my studies we reached a point where we became because especially in Ramadan we would get together and we would read Salah downstairs, and I would lead the girls and I would make the dua at the end and that. And when I if I can summarize what I felt was that in those moments I felt something called halawat al-iman.
Yeah.
You can actually feel it.
It's like a taste.
Yes, it's such a calm feeling that you get, in such a connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. that it's really really amazing. So for me, Kuwait, has really taught me, not Kuwait, I mean what I've studied, has really enlightened, it's given me insight into my life and as a person, and it has also given me the ability to recognize when there is something that is not correct in a person's belief. Because some people think that you go to Kuwait, you're going to be indoctrinated. But it wasn't like that at all. We were just taught from mother books, about Islam. We weren't taught anybody's opinion. We were just taught ideology. Yes, we were just taught from the Quran, from the Sunnah.
Because there's difference. There is an ideology and then there is Islam.
Exactly.
And a lot of people have an ideology of Islam, but they don't have Islam.
Yes. So we were not taught like an ideology. We were taught from using proof from the Quran and the Sunnah. And so we can reflect. So when we are faced with issues and we hear certain things, we can recognize that there's something different.
It's ability for critical thought, I think so.
And I just want to mention, for example, Mufti Menk. Last night we met one of our friends is also studying in Kuwait, just by accident. She's actually here as well, and we stood and we were just speaking about Mufti Menk, and she was asking, what do you think? And we said, and I told her, well, it's because he speaks just the way we were taught, to go back to the Quran, to go back to the Sunnah. Your focus is the Quran, your focus is the Sunnah.
Yes.
And
you don't, because I find also, while you're raising that point, a lot of people stop at the books of their sheikhs.
Exactly.
Or if they're giving an argument, then they will give it from what the sheikh said, but they don't take it back further to what the Prophet said and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. And that's where the critical thought became severely hampered, I think.
Yes. I just want to add something. I did, a lot of people don't understand that the deen, to learn your religion is actually wajib. So it doesn't matter who you are, you need to learn your deen. And
the opportunities, they utilize it.
Yes. You have to try as much as you can to learn your deen. And because it's also, a lot of people go to the internet and then they listen from different sheikhs. But I don't know if maybe Zulfiya can give input on that, because this is the question that I was also thinking of. How can I answer it to some of our people? How do I answer this question that I have in my mind? Like, say I have a sister-in-law and I encourage her to study the sorry, it's a bit cold. If I have a sister-in-law and I encourage her to study the deen, where would she go to study?
Where would she go? And then, of course, we find this in South Africa, for instance, there is a lot of this prohibitions. They'll say you're going without a mahram, so that's one of the things that they put also on the girls. But before we come back to the question, there's something in the back of my mind. 1992, Russia becomes freer. You have an opportunity, etc. Do the Muslims come out? Do they physically manifest their Islam? Do you see women in hijab? Are they allowed to wear their hijab? Are they proud to say they're Muslim now? Because under communism, everything was secret. We were hiding things. What did you see? What's the difference from 1992 to 2015?
Of course, in 1992, there is no Islam didn't spread so much. Yes, and it was just beginning. There is no any books. So when the books they began to print out for the teaching, learning how to pray, the people they became to pray. After that, they became to wear the hijab. So in 1992, you could not find the Muslims women, but now, if you can come to Russia, there are lots of women wearing the hijab.
And who was like an influence, a great influence in bringing people or making them aware of Islam like this?
There is too many programs. Teachings, learning by the internet. There is always some small schools. As I said before, that the Arabs spread Islam, so they.
So again, in the later years, obviously at the time of Rasul Salasa, the Sahabi came to Russia, and so this heritage continues after 1992, where the Arabs come again to Russia and they spread Islam.
Yes, exactly. So before Umar ibn Khattab in 7th century, he came to Dagestan and they spread Islam. They began to spread Islam there. Then in 9th century, the Islam spread it in Russia, in the center of the Russia. So we began Islam from the, maybe I can say that from Sahaba, okay, and then stopped, and then again we came from the Arab.
Okay, but we're at the end of this particular interview. We're going to come back for a second one. I'm going to leave it there because I'm sure now the viewers are more curious to hear a bit more. And Gadeeja, we'll talk a little bit more about your experiences in Kuwait and how you brought that back home to South Africa. But till the next interview, till next week, fi amanillah, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.